Well, it has been almost 2 years since the national abortion rights, once provided by Roe v. Wade, were overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court. Almost 2 years and 14 state bans later, the number of abortions happening in America rose to its highest level in more than a decade last year. There were more than 1 million abortions in this country in 2023, according to research done by the Guttmacher Institute. Is that what you or the Right to Life movement would have expected? With me now live is Jody Hicks, the president and CEO of Planned Parenthood Affiliates of California. Good morning to you, Jody.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. So, Jody, the highest rate of abortions in this country last year than in the last 10 years, and that after the highest court in the land reversed Roe. Did you see that coming?
I mean, I think it was impossible to predict what would happen after we had 50 years of Roe v. Wade. But I think it speaks to evidence that people will continue to seek care despite these policy bans. And it also speaks to the monumental efforts of clinics, abortion funds, what people state policies where we don't have bans, and how we would continue to help people get access to care.
We visited shortly before the last Roe decision came down, and due to the leaked draft opinion of the reversal, the country was really bracing for that official news. You shared that women were already coming here from other states to obtain abortions, mostly from Texas. You were concerned about providers and resources here keeping up. What is your sense of how many women are traveling here now for this procedure?
I mean, I can speak to what we know nationally. There's been about a 25% increase in states that don't have bans for people coming out of state. We know that around 160,000 people had to travel outside of the state they live in. But states like California, we created the Future of Abortion Council. We have done everything we can do to increase access and ensure that people are able to get care no matter what their zip code is, no matter what their income is. And we really looked at that even within California. How can we take this moment to increase access to care? And I think it speaks to things like better access to telehealth, medication abortion, abortion funds that are able to help people seek the care they need despite these policy bans that are happening throughout the country.
Eva Birch, a Democratic state senator in Arizona, a wife and mother of two, just took to the Senate floor there to tell her colleagues that unfortunately for the second time she would not be able to grow her family and would have to have an abortion because the baby she was carrying was not viable. She says she did that to really shatter what she feels are growing misconceptions out there about who the abortion patient is, and that this is a healthcare issue and not only about irresponsible partiers. Do you see women facing that kind of bias even here in California?
Oh, absolutely. I think anybody, seeking any kind of sexual and reproductive health care, there's a bias to that. I think anybody that's seeking health care that's best for them, working with their doctor, is a responsible patient, is doing what's best for them and their family. And it's why we fight so hard to ensure that everyone has access to the care they need to have bodily autonomy, but also to make decisions that are best for them and their family, for their unique circumstance. And we know that that is not best made by a legislator. It's best made by patients and their doctors.
As the national right to abortion was coming toward its end, Planned Parenthood and several other state groups created, as you were talking about earlier, the Future of Abortion Council, and then the council in California became part of a 20-state coalition called the Reproductive Freedom Alliance. What are those groups doing now, and what would you say have been their biggest accomplishments so far?
I mean, they've done everything from ensure people have better security, clinics have better security, patients have better privacy, better access to things like telehealth, removing barriers, financial barriers, any other barriers that exist, permitting for clinics. We continue to push legislation and increase access to healthcare, and also to ensure that people are getting information that they need. In California, just the website alone, ensuring that people that are seeking care, having to travel outside the state they live in, can get the information they need. It's as we've seen in the numbers, it's been a huge accomplishment for people to be able to access care right now.
This week, for the first time, speaking of accessing care, for the first time in this country, girls, teens, women can buy birth control pills without a prescription. Opill went on sale online Monday, providing a direct resource for those who have limited access to doctors, like those living in more rural areas. And we do have some of those areas in California. There won't be the double cost of a provider visit and then the medication. So is this a game changer? What does that mean for the country?
I think it could be. And, we celebrate anyway that people can get better access to sexual and reproductive health care. Birth control is not a one size fit all. It's going to be important that people still are able to have access to providers. But this is another tool for people to be able to get the resources and the care that they need.
And as you look ahead, what do you see happening with abortion in this country and how that might affect California? And do you see people really bearing down on the medication abortion and attacking those two drugs as we've seen over the last few months?
Yeah, that's already happening. There's a case in front of the Supreme Court that could limit medication abortion. And, one of the biggest fallouts of this decision is we no longer have a backstop in the Supreme Court. And unfortunately for everyone in this country, their rights are really come down to every single election. And, every policymaker has the ability to change whether or not people have fundamental rights in this country right now. So we have a lot of work to do ahead. It is an election year, and we'll be reminding folks that, unfortunately, abortion is on the ballot every single time.
All righty. Thank you so much. We'll have to put a pin in this huge issue right there, but we appreciate your insight today on all of these issues still surrounding reproductive health, even though a lot of folks have kind of felt like it was a settled issue. Jody Hicks, Planned Parenthood. Thank you so much.
Thank you.